And it turned out that Detective Thorpe, or whoever else was involved, did a ridiculously poor job of vetting or looking into Spencer Wright's statement. Isn't that true?
Well, there was surveillance video that Mr. Wright said he was a specific place, and there was video that would have showed whether or not he was there. That apparently was not inspected very closely prior to obtaining arrest warrants.
Right. Well, in terms of not investigated fully, Spencer Wright, Thorpe spoke to Spencer Wright on the 19th of October, right?
Yes.
Now, when you came into the case, one of the first things that you thought to do was to really examine the statement from Mr. Wright. Is that true?
Yes.
And you did so?
I did.
And you spoke to him?
I did.
One of the second or third things that you did, right, just using some common sense, was to go and look for video around the location where you thought Spencer Wright would have been, right?
That's right.
And you did that.
I did.
And you were able to find it.
I was.
And it was pretty easy.
It was.
Detective Thorpe, before arresting folks based on your words, almost entirely the statement of Spencer Wright, never took the time to even go look for video where Spencer Wright supposedly would have been, did he?
Well, that I don't know. You would have to ask Detective Thorpe that.
Well, did you? Did you ask Detective Thorpe that?
Yes.
Was there?
Yes, there was a video camera, and in the viewable area of that camera was the bus stop where Mr. Wright said that he was standing at the time of the homicide.
Right. Had anyone gotten that video?
Yes.
Who did?
It was the specific investigator was probably either Frederick Page or Teague, Jason Teague, but ultimately it wound up in the possession of Detective Thorpe.
Okay. Before these four individuals were arrested or after?
Before.
Okay. And so even having the videotape that you looked at and that you made a determination was pivotal in the arrest or in the case, even having that information, Detective Thorpe still went ahead and swore out the warrant for the wrong people on October the 20th?
That's right.
So after you realized that Thorpe had not done what should have been done in the case, right? You went a little bit further and you got some recorded phone calls of Spencer Wright, true?
I did.
And you were able to listen to those calls. And I'm not asking you what was said, but the contents of those calls, you were able to listen to those, right?
I did.
And those were also instrumental in convincing you that here we are in 2016, that the wrong decision had been made by by the detective, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you do, what do you call it down here in Fulton? Is it an NPGJ, not presented to the grand jury when you dismiss a case?
Yeah, it's a form. It's I don't know what I don't remember what it basically says. We're not presenting the case. The evidence is not sufficient. We're not presenting. That is, the DA's office is not presenting the case to the grand jury at this time.
Okay. And so when you realized what had happened in this case, when did you file such a form?
Well, so that would have been the elected DA at the time, Paul Howard, that would have authorized or maybe have even signed that himself. But Kenneth Copeland, well, no, I believe that was done with Kenneth Copeland.
Mm-hmm. When?
I don't recall the date.
Does 2017 sound about right?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. I don't recall the exact date, but that does sound about right. Mr. Sledge, his was thrown out like January of 2016, I believe, whenever the preliminary hearing was. Mm-hmm. And as far as Garlington, and Mr. Jackson, aka Mr. Stillwell's, was never thrown out. And as for Mr. Garlington, I don't know. I don't know if there was an MPGJ filed on him or not. There should have been.
As you're reviewing the evidence in the case, and we've just talked about Spencer Wright and that information, you talked earlier and you were asked questions about this other video that you looked for. Remember that?
I did.
And you remember a little while ago you were asked questions about video from the Texaco gas station.
Yes.
Okay. You remember, and I think you testified that there was this video that you received, or that you were able to review, of vehicles at the Texaco gas station not far from the barbershop around the time that the incident occurred.
That's correct.
You talked earlier, if I'm right, about this Pontiac Bonneville, right?
That's correct.
You talked about other vehicles that you saw, correct?
Correct.
You talked about individuals that you saw there at the at that gas station, right?
That's correct.
You were asked by the prosecutor whether you saw Kenneth Copeland on any of those videos. Remember that question?
I do remember it.
Your answer was no,
That's right.
because you did not see Kenneth Copeland at that gas station, that Texaco, sometime around the time that the murder occurred, right?
That's correct.
Right. You weren't asked, so I'm going to ask you, whether you saw Jeffery Williams on that video at the Texaco at around the time that the murder occurred. Did you?
No, I didn't see Jeffery Williams on there, no.
And you looked at the entirety of the video, right?
I did.
I think I heard you say that on all, I don't know if you said all of them, a lot of videos you went back and you looked at them multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. So January 10th, 2015, somewhere between, let's say, 6-something and 6:50 and 7:30, the time that you looked at the Texaco, Jeffery Williams is not on any video getting out of any car, getting into any car at the Texaco down the street from the barbershop. True?
That's true.
Okay. I heard you say that one of the things that interested you when you looked at that video at the Texaco is that you saw an Infiniti. The name Demikian Garlington came up in your investigation. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. There was this reference, in listening to Kenneth Copeland's statements, there was this reference to a conversation, phone calls that he would have had with Garlington, right?
That's correct.
And it would have been some interest to you to figure out whether or not what Kenneth Copeland was saying, not just about that, but everything was corroboratable, was true.
Yes.
Right? Or whether Kenneth Copeland was lying to y'all, lying to the detectives, not y'all, because he had already been interviewed, right?
Right, that's right.
Because you considered him to be a pivotal witness in the case.
Yes.
Right? And some of the things that he said you would have considered to be pivotal things that you wanted to follow up on, right?
Yes.
And if you have a witness, just like Spencer Wright, for example, if you have a witness who you think has pivotal information, but that witness is proven to be a liar, that's something that you want to know in regards to the investigation. True?
That's true.
And one of the things you could have done in regards to Kenneth Copeland and any statements he said, phone calls he said he may have had with someone named Demikian Garlington, is you could have gotten Garlington's phone records to determine whether or not those communications took place, right?
That is correct.
And also where Mr. Garlington was to see whether that comports with what Kenneth Copeland said, right?
That is correct.
Now, you got Kenneth Copeland's information, his phone information, right?
I did.
You got his location, so you knew, or at least the phone, where that phone was at certain times on the night of January 10th, 2015, right?
Well, to be specific, what you see with tower data is the tower and the side of the tower that the phone utilized. That can be a pretty large area. In a city with a lot of cell phone towers everywhere, you get a little bit of a better idea, but I just want to make sure that we're clear that it's not the exact location of the phone.
Sure, not the exact.
Hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it, just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it, just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.